Hello, possums. I also want to welcome any intrepid new viewers to this channel. I'm Dr. Lena, Australian sociologist, and I've been following this stuff since the Yeti first came down that bloody escalator. Right. So here we are. I'm still in Venice, as you can see. I wanted to kick off today with James Carville, the Ragin' Cajun, right? 81, been around forever for the Dems. And I always liked him until he turned on David Hogg. How dare he? He described a survivor of that shooting as a little twerp. It was disgusting. However, he's had the grace to apologize, and a genuine apology goes such a long way. And the flack he got from all that actually got him thinking. And I want to use his actual words here because he's saying he admits he comes from the old centrist Dems. And now that's no longer good enough. It's not going to cut it. America is in such a crisis, it needs a different Democratic Party. So his words are, it's time for the Dems to embrace a sweeping, aggressive, unvarnished, unapologetic, and altogether unmistakable platform of pure economic rage. He said it's the only way back from the abyss. So go James Carville. It's like the Republicans who left the Republican Party early and those who are now parting ways, but it's moving. Now, what I want to talk about here, a bit more on that really bad incident where Navy SEAL Division 6 actually went ahead under instructions to kill two drowning men clinging to a burning boat. Okay, now with Trump, it's hard to keep up with his crimes, his economic crimes, his domestic crimes, his international crimes, and now his war crimes. And apparently he pardoned the ex-president of Honduras for major, major drug trafficking. They're the ones that are doing all this other stuff, allegedly because of drugs. They're really worried about Americans on drugs. Well, I'll just ask you, who's going to supply Don Jr. for entertainment purposes only? So I want to look at this. There's an independent inquiry across the board about this incident. And of course, it is all videoed. It's not going to be good for those involved, but I want to see the repercussions around it. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Because of the situation I'm in here, I have to put the cards down, then hold them up for you. It's unsteady waters. Okay. I think this is interesting. Okay, this is literally on the deck of a ship. See how it's unsteady? This is, I think, the top level Navy, along with other allied services, the boots on the ground versus the higher ups. It's very hard for an underling to refuse orders. Mark Kelly's doing a great job of explaining how it all works. However, I think it's still unstable like this. Some are going to be damaged by this, and sadly, in 3 to 4 years, when all this legally plays out, and the Yeti is long gone, hopefully, this will play out. But this is a two. See, twos are about having to decide something, right? What this case has meant, because it was videoed, is now it's going to make it clearer for those who are receiving illegal orders to make that decision. I think that decision will be made in more situations now than it would have been. It's very hard to defy the hierarchy, but I think that's the most positive card we could see for this question. But not the most positive, because this is my, oh, YouTube can't handle. So this is the star card. This is my best of America card. So I think they flow really well. People are unsure now, what about this that we did, and what about that, and should we do this, and can't we do that? Just look to the Northern Star, please. Please. Okay, so that's that one. Now, in other economic news, I want to talk about AI. But first, bit of good news, Starbucks has to pay their New York branch, I think it is, $35 million in labor compensation, stingy wages. Interesting, Starbucks came to Australia, and I'm sorry to be elitist, and Australians rarely are, but I will say we do have the best coffee in the world. And we're very fussy about our coffee. When I say that, I'm talking about capital cities. If you drive 100 miles out of a capital city, you're left with, you know, the brewed yucky poo stuff. But in the capital cities, you don't open the doors of a coffee shop unless it's sensational. And Starbucks just died in the arse in Australia. I think they've got a couple of branches. They had to close 90% of the branches. Australians went, you must be kidding me. Interesting. Okay. So in the big picture, I think we now all sort of have a handle on the seven big companies that are holding up the stock exchange because they're investing in each other's big business to do with AI and crypto, right? We know this. But now it's fully half of the GDP. That's not good for any country to have a single industry that is that big. That's what happens in developing countries. You're totally oil dependent or you're totally dependent on uranium extraction or something. It's not something you see in developed countries. Anyway, we're here now. Half the GDP. So the Dems, or shall I say the new Dems, need to think about this right now. Are they going to stand up from day one, make it part of their platform? We are going to make these huge companies pay for their own electricity and water. So you don't have to pay. Make that case. Are they going to do that? Or are they going to bite their fingernails and go, oh, well, we should have done that, but we didn't do that. And now they're too big to fail, so we have to bail them out. Ooh, let's see. Let's see what these conversations are about. Old Dems versus new Dems on AI. Now, this isn't just an American issue, of course. All of us, we're looking at a third of our workforce, possibly more, being replaced by AI going forward quickly. We have to get these legislations in place. Okay, so let's have a look. Are they going to tax the text giants as part of a platform? Don't try and sneak it in the back door. Just say it. I think, sorry, I digress, but I think this is part of the problem with the Dems because they're always trying to be nice to everyone. And because there's this myth in America, but it's the same in the UK, it's the same in Australia. People think that the Conservatives are good with money and Dems or our Labor are good for social issues. They never see the reality, which is Dems always have to bail out the previous Republican administration. And that is not unique to America. So don't think you're the only ones there. I feel your pain. Okay, so how are they going to go? Let's have a look. Oh, good cards for the right answer. Love that. If they continue as they are with, oh, well, if we tax them and they might go offshore and, yeah, well, they might, but it'd save you a lot of money if they did. Okay, it's the death of the old way of doing business for the Dems. This is really, really, really important. And that's also how you crush taco tits. Okay, the new Dems. People will travel with them. People will get it. Do you want the rich guys to pay, or would you rather pay their bills? Keep the messaging simple. People will get it and come along with you. Because by the time the midterms come, let alone 2028, imagine what the utility bills and stuff are going to be. People will go with them. Now, the card of secret agendas or secretly behind the scenes or not being quite upfront will be a burden for them. The secret is to put it out there, and that's very uncomfortable for the Schumers and the Pelosi's and so forth. Even if they agree behind closed doors, they can't bring themselves to say it. That is a burden on the party. But things are changing quickly. The way forward, the Two of Cups. Bring people with you. Then you have the weight of numbers. And it could end up, you never know, in a functioning democracy. Imagine that, the will of the people. Oh, dare to struggle, dare to dream. Okay, I'm loving that. All right, now I want to have a look here. We have to assume Hegseth is on the ropes. I mean, who'd put an alcoholic weekend host in charge of the Pentagon? I mean, that's what I don't understand about Trump. I understand psychologically he only puts in sycophants, but he could put in competent bootlickers. There'd still be those who'd kowtow to the president. But because he doesn't understand government, doesn't respect what it does, he he puts people in from literally, as he says, central casting. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Now, I've avoided talking about the Yeti's health for months. I've let other people do it. It's on the news all the time, but I want to have a look for you and me. What's his health? What's his health? What's going on with that? Hmm. Let's put it this way. His health decline is actually the best friend of the nation. At the moment, here's this card again. I was shuffling the whole time I was raving on. This is the White House at the moment, still pretending he's all right, even though no one's seen him standing up for weeks on end. They prop him up on the golf cart and take a few pictures. He's not functioning, but now I think they've been tasered by reality. Look at this. I think this could be what's her name? His chief of staff, Susan Wiles, I think her name is. I think this is her. I think she is saying we've actually stretched this elastic as far as we can. I think she is speaking up. This will represent a changing of the guard in the sense I think he'll be forced out by the insiders. Not this minute. I'm not going to put an immediate time frame on it, but it's not that far away. where he is forced to walk away, which does represent a victory for every sane, decent, caring American. Boudica. Because although that will leave Vance in the hot seat, nobody likes Vance. Nobody likes Vance. So I think that's quite positive, not for him. Swords are also mental. I think they're more worried about the mental decline. The physical stuff is just makes it awkward, but you can't hide the mental decline. Okay, now some cards for you guys. Where are we? 2nd of December. Oh, the Tennessee election. It's only a few hours away from when I'm making this video. Okay. Did you see in Truth Social, he's announced this no longer MAGA, presumably no longer the GOP. You have to be a Republican. Hilarious. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But he is flaming out. Let's look for you guys. Some of you had a very nice Thanksgiving. Some had more difficult ones, but that's over. And we're now zooming into the new year. See, that's a big difference between the North and Southern hemispheres. In the North, you guys have the long school holidays and stuff in your summer. Australians sign off now basically till the end of January. And people go to work, of course they go to work. It's a functioning country. But your heart's not in it for the whole of December and most of January. Now let's look for you guys. What do viewers need to know? What do viewers need to know? Okay. Hmm. These are big cards. I didn't expect this. 5 cards, 3 majors. Look, saying you're sick of it all doesn't cut it. Of course, you guys are exhausted. But hopefully, look at this, because you've been chained to this madness for the best part of a decade. I mean, at least things are accelerating and he's not going to dribble on for 4 years, I can promise you that. But it's been an ordeal. But now, after being held up all this time, like almost in suspended animation, when's he going to go? What's going to happen? This is the new perspective. And I hope I'm right in saying, you can let me know in the comments, people actually, despite conditions around you being worse, like rising prices and all this stuff, it feels more positive than it did even a few months ago. Like everyone's talking about midterms now, when many of us were really worried that there wouldn't even be a midterms. There's so going to be a midterms. So this is the new perspective. I think for you guys, that means time out from news, rising above the fray. What nurtures you? How long is it since you did some yoga? Do you go for walks regularly? Do you live near, if you're not in the woods, do you live near a park? Green space. Green space will help you. There will finally be some major court decision that is meaningful, and those sniveling, gutless wonders in the Supreme Court are overdue for a decent ruling. They cannot be trusted, but something significant is going to happen very soon. And this, I think, reaffirms what I was saying, but a foot In the real world, this means staying engaged, not putting your head in the sand. It's not staying engaged, managing as best you can. I know some of you are comfortably off and others aren't. Whatever economic situation you're in, you've got to keep the food going and the roof over the head. But don't forget the foot in the water. The water is all those luscious, invisible things, and that includes our spiritual life, our imagination, our creativity. It also rules music and the arts. More music. While you're peeling the potatoes, put on a few tracks of your favorite music from back in the day. Whatever. Get the body moving. It's the best thing to help you because we tend to live in our heads and in our emotional space, and we sort of almost carry these bodies around. So the body and the spirit. Don't you love that? All right, guys. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Oh, don't forget the thumbs up. Bye. Ciao, ciao.